Yo, how's it going, guys? So we're doing day 6 now of this challenge where we're doing 20 days. Obviously, we've got 4 weeks, 5 days a week, and you'll be able to, by the end of this challenge, hopefully have a really good perspective of how to navigate on this ADHD journey. So, what we're doing here is I'm setting the foundations for what the ADHD GPS is, which is a framework that I've been using since I left my 9 to 5. This is one of the frameworks that helped me to stay consistent with, running this business, running my social media. Even before, like it was something I was using while I was doing my 9 to 5 and trying to juggle running a community at the same time. And it helped me a little bit with that. And that's how it actually started, is through doing a worksheet of this. Now I have a dashboard that has it inside of it. And you'll be able to see that in the next video, how I actually use my dashboard to use this GPS framework. So let's get into it, man. So, what is the GPS? What is it? So the ADHD GPS framework it stands for Goal, Project, Signal, right? And goal is obviously the bigger picture. We're really good at that as ADHDers. We're really good at like going really far, and imagining and seeing how things could be and all this stuff, right? That's why we end up being impulsive and buying this next shiny object, right? Then what I do is I create a goal. I have a project that is tied to the goal, which is the first actionable steps that I'd have to take to move the needle forward on this goal, right? And then I have a signal, which has got a set of dominoes within them, right? Which is these actionable steps, these action triggers that tell me this is what I need to do to get closer and closer to this project being complete. Some actually have one project, some have many projects. It depends on if it's a long-term goal, you might have a few projects, right? If it's a short-term goal, it's likely just going to have one project with a certain amount of dominoes inside of it, and then your goal's complete, right? So what I'm going to go through with you is why there's a big myth, right? There's like this thing where ADHD is trying their very best to be planners, where we're not really built for that. Our brain is not really built for planning ahead. It's good at thinking of what's gonna happen. Like, yeah, like I know what I'd like things to be like, but the whole planning of is quite challenging for us. And the reason why is because we are time blind, right? So it's very hard for us to estimate time. Really hard for us to see, how long it's going to take to do something, and for that reason, we might end up leaving late, or we might, leave things to the last minute, right? So what we've got to learn to do is think about the bigger picture, which is zooming out, but then zooming in, right? So the power of zooming in and out is really important for us because we're very clear on what we want. Like, I don't have any calls where people are really unclear on what they want. They know what they want, they just find it difficult to do it. So clarify your big goal, right? But don't sit with that imagining so much that you end up getting overwhelmed about the steps. That's what happens to us. We get overwhelmed about the step. Oh, damn, but yeah, but then I'm gonna have to trademark my logo and all, like you just start thinking about all this other stuff that's like technical stuff, right? And then it puts you off. So find one small actionable step that you can do today in relation to the goal. There is always one actionable step you can take. Like there's one thing that if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen, right? So say you want to build a website, you can't have a website without a domain, right? So of course you're going to have to purchase the domain. Like don't think about the website design, all this stuff, and you haven't got the domain yet, right? So you zoom out the website, you see, you know what it look like, you know what you'd like it to look like and stuff, but then you've got to zoom back in now and say, well, I'm going to need a domain name. Do I even know if the name's actually even available, right? Who am I going to host it with, right? You see what I mean? It's like, so now that's a project, right? So you're going to have a project now that is tied to the setting up of this website, right? And you might have 3 or 4 projects within that, right? Getting the domain is a project in itself, right? And then and then after that, finding out who's going to host it, right? That's a project in itself. And then the actual build of it, like the design and everything, the UI, UX design or whatever, that's going to play a part. So if you break those things down into smaller chunks, each of those projects, you then can see there's a domino effect, right? Where you're just going to take one of those actions that's going to knock down the other one, that's going to knock down the other one, and eventually you're just going to have this domino effect of a project being complete that then moves you on to the next project, that being complete into the next project, that being complete until the goal's complete, right? So that's how we need to do it. And that's what's been helping me along this way. I'm juggling quite a few things. When you say juggle, I'm not really juggling. I mean, I'm able to manage a few projects. It's not that I'm doing them all at the same time, but they have their moments when I need to focus on them. So if I'm doing a YouTube video, I'm doing a YouTube video, right? When that's done, then I move on to the next thing. Right? I'm not trying to do a YouTube video and at the same time do something else in the mix. Like kind of just focusing on one thing, getting it complete, done, checked off, and then move on to the next thing. That's why I say doing one thing at a time is most important. I'm not saying just do one thing forever. Just only focus on one thing, nothing else. Can't do anything else. No project, no podcast. Like, yeah, you can do other things, but you just have to understand you can't do all of it at once. So there's no point having 100 tabs open. It's just better just have one tab open, complete that, and then open a new tab for something else when you do that, right? I'm saying that as I've got like 3 or 4 tabs open, right? But it distracts you, right? And um, in our lives, we just need to be able to understand what our signal is. There's a signal that moves the needle forward. We can overthink as much as we want. That doesn't move the needle forward. That's just you sitting in a chair and just looking into thin air. That's what that is, right? That's not moving any needle, right? I'm not saying that you can't, think things through and stuff. What I'm trying to say is that there's only so much thinking you can do, right? So a lot of the time, it's just better to just dive in and then take action and then think about it after. And that's what we're really good at. We're really good at taking action and being like, oh, well, I didn't think that through, but at least you learn something from it, right? And if you don't self-sabotage and you're more compassionate and you're more like lean into the lessons that you got from it, you're just gonna have a much more you're just gonna be fearful, right? You're just gonna jump into things and you're not gonna be afraid, right? So that's what moves things forward is when you take action. Um, so using the GPS in the next lessons is what I want to help you guys with. So obviously you're going to turn that goal into a project, like I said, and then you're going to use the signal to keep the momentum. So every time you see that and you're ticking it off, like, yep, I've done that domino. Yep, I've done that domino. Yep, I've done that domino. That's going to build momentum, right? And then you want to pick one area to focus on for now, right? That's kind of what I want you to do in the upcoming lesson. So let's take an action here now. So the action step for today is identify. Remember, lesson number 5, like day 5, there was a identifying the main area. Well, first of all, there was the main areas of your life that you wanted to have as your main areas of attention. Now that you've identified those, you're going to pick one that stands out to you that you feel like is a massive bottleneck on your journey that you like to work on and have a goal set for it. And then obviously let me know that goal, right? In a community, we've got a community post that we're doing now for this. If you're on YouTube, you can join the community. There is a link in the description for you to join the community and actually join in this challenge if you wanted to. Maybe you could do it in the comments if you wanted to. It's up to you, but maybe better if you're around the community at the same time. And also share it, like I said, in the community, so we could dive into the next thing. So what we'll be doing tomorrow is actually you're choosing the goal today. Now we're going to use the framework that I use on how I set a goal, right? There's a 4-step process that I use when I set a goal, and I'll do that with you tomorrow, and then we work on the project after that. Anyway, take care. Peace.